My uncle, 53, is a complete idiot and rude. He positively delights in being as offensive as possible. My grandmother says it's from a brain injury when he was young. I've never seen proof of this. My dad, 50, has put up with it his whole life. When I asked him about it, he said that's how his brother is and always has been. My mom basically banned him from our house when I was growing up, so I only saw him at family events. At weddings where he would say the groom looked like an idiot or that the bride looked pregnant. Thanksgiving, where he would tell offensive jokes at the table, or a birthday party where he said the food tasted like crap. I, male 27, recently bought a house with my girlfriend 23. It's small and needs work, but we can afford it with a lot of help from our families and the bank. We had a housewarming this weekend and had a barbecue. It was the first time we could host a big group as I only had a bachelor's apartment and my girlfriend lived with her dad. My dad invited my uncle, but I did not. My uncle shows up and starts being himself. He starts calling my home a dive and asks my girlfriend why she's with a loser like me. I ask him to come out in the front yard to talk for a second and I read him the riot act. I don't give a crap that other people have coddled him his whole life. If he can't be civil, then he's welcome to get the heck out. I was not quiet. I'm pretty sure everyone in my backyard could hear me telling him to behave like a damn civilized adult. He left, but spent the rest of the day texting everyone there, including his mom and my grandmother, and saying that it wasn't his fault that I overreacted to his behaviour. It put a damper on the party. His family is on his side, but my mom's family and my friends are backing me. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It's your home and he disrespected you in it. Also, your dad was out of line for inviting your uncle without consulting you first. He's definitely the idiot for inviting him without telling you, and so is your dad's family for expecting you to put up with him in your home. He's their responsibility, not yours. Yeah, especially when his own wife banned the brother from their home. The presumption of OP's father to invite the nasty uncle to a house that's not his. I've seen many stories of people enabling bullies but attacking people when they stick up for themselves. OP, you need to tell your dad that he won't be welcome in your house if he brings the idiot uncle. In fact, that goes for all your family. That nasty uncle is never to set foot in your place. Who cares if your family complains? Let them deal with the idiot uncle and you can live free of his vitriol. This uncle is a clown that's been trained to put on a show for his family. They love watching him do this crap. That's why they keep inviting him and taking his side. He's putting on a show and his brother and family are in the audience. Like in school, the kids would aggravate the kid with profound mental health issues just to watch him explode. If they really were bothered by it, they could have established a large, family-wide network to help deflect him and curb his tendencies, to spare his targets. That is, if the brain damage is the actual problem here, I'm not sure. My husband had a brain injury from work a decade ago. He worked hard to get his anger under control and not be a huge idiot. It took a long time and a lot of work, but he did it. He also had things as a result of the injury, both physical and neurological, to deal with. There's no way that uncle is a perfectly functioning adult in every other way, and the brain injury only affects him, so he can't be an idiot. Congratulations on your husband and family for persevering with the work. OP, your uncle is an absolute piece of trash and your dad's family are enablers. Funny how many idiots think, I have a mental health condition translates to, you must accommodate any of my behaviour no matter how toxic. A mental health condition means I'll be a little more open to someone rebuilding bridges after they burn them. It does not mean I'll sit on the bridge while it burns. I, male 45, am a single dad to my daughter, Teen. When my daughter was only a month old, her mother decided she didn't want to be a mom anymore and left, so it's just been my daughter and me ever since. My daughter grew up with friends, other girls whose mom did everything girly and motherly with them. But for my daughter, I was the one who was helping her get ready for dance competitions, taking her to concerts like Taylor Swift and Harry Styles, going shopping for clothes and so much more. So with mostly her friends, she gave me the title Dad Mom, jokingly because I act in both roles in my daughter's life. Of course, yesterday was Mother's Day. My daughter made a post with 2 pictures. A picture of her with my mom and sister and a picture of just her and me. She just thanked her grandma and aunt for being motherly influences for her, and then she did a special shout out to me for being her dad mom and doing everything for her in both dad and mom roles. We later went to dinner with my parents, my sister and her family. My sister asked my daughter why she mentioned me in her Mother's Day post. My daughter said, well, Dad's a single parent, so he acts as both a dad and a mom. I only have one parent, not two. My sister said, well, that's what Father's Day's for. She then turned to me and called me an idiot because Mother's Day is one day out of the year, so I shouldn't encourage my daughter to celebrate her dad on Mother's Day. My mom didn't feel like anything was wrong with it, but I feel like an idiot. So, am I? Not the idiot. It's funny that when women post themselves on Father's Day because they're mom and dad, no one bats an eye. Shout out to you for being everything your daughter needs. It's hard enough being a girl. For you to try and understand and feed her interests says a lot about the stand-up man you are. This isn't a good look for your sister. It comes across as her being jealous that you were mentioned or feeling like she isn't enough of a motherly influence since your daughter mentioned you too. In the grand scheme of things, she's a hypocrite. And lucky she got a mention since she's not technically your daughter's mother. This is exactly where my mind went. She wanted to be recognised in a motherly role and wasn't happy that OP got a better shout out than she did. I'm a single mom and my kids have been celebrating me for Father's Day for about 10 years. Your daughter's opinion of you is the only one that counts out of this group. What your sister said is gender restrictive and doesn't account for all genders. Just because you're male, you can't be motherly? What about females who act as fathers or individuals who identify in other ways? It's a very 1950s definition of parenting roles. I ate with my husband and kids 2 nights ago at a family-friendly restaurant. The kind of place one expects to see lots of families with young children. Think pizza and chicken fingers. A few tables down was a large party with a baby. Every so often the baby would make a cute babbling sound. No problem, it's a family restaurant. But then an older woman, presumably the baby's grandma, would imitate the baby's sound but at probably 3 times the volume. After 15 minutes, I walked over to the other table and asked if they could keep it down a bit. I told them I understand it's fun to be out with the baby, it wasn't that long ago for me, but asked that the big people keep their voices tuned to the volume of the kids. One of the other women stands up and starts screaming at me that she has a right to bring her kids to a damn family restaurant and that I need to stop harassing her family. I calmly explained to her that the baby is doing great, no problem with me at all, but the adult should not try to scream louder than the baby while playing with the baby. This woman went off on me, screaming and yelling that I was harassing her family, that they have a right to bring their baby wherever they want, and threw some nice 4-letter words in my direction too. Yes, including that one. The entire party finally got up in a huff, shouted, "Clearly families aren't welcome here anymore," and stormed out the restaurant with their meals still on the table. The manager came by and told me he'd heard the whole thing and that the family skipped out on a $70 bill. I offered to pay it, but he refused, insisting it wasn't my fault. However, multiple people at further away tables kept staring at me for the entire rest of the meal, and when we were in the parking lot on our way home, a woman I'd never seen before came up to me and told me I should be ashamed of myself for telling that nice family to leave, even though that's not what I even asked. I just feel so frustrated because people seem so angry at me, even though I'm sure they only heard the other woman's side of the conversation because she was screaming while I was trying to maintain a calm voice. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Talk to the manager to handle that crap. You're not the police of the restaurant volume. It sounds innocent enough, but who are you to dictate? Yeah, she was loud, but that's what the waitstaff and manager are for. Maybe they knew they were giant idiots and would have comped the meals and apologised. Who knows, but instead you went and took over. Come on. Disagree, not the idiot. They come off as scammers just looking for any reason to skip out on their bill. They would have pulled the same stunt if the manager had asked them to quiet down. Notice how they conveniently became obnoxious only after scarfing down $70 of food. Oh, good point. And Grandma imitating the baby's sounds at a much higher volume coupled with the woman's only defence that she's allowed to take baby wherever she wants, even though it was the adult that was the problem, not the kid, almost makes it sound rehearsed. They've been totally scammed before. I'm sorry, but you are the idiot, OP. Honestly, I laugh because it sounds like my grandmother playing with her great-grandkids after she got Alzheimer's, and she was still super fun, but her sense of decorum and her decibel meter was definitely broken. Or my mum, who's partially deaf and really doesn't notice, and unlike that lady would be horrified and definitely take it down a notch if you asked her nicely, that she sometimes gets unintentionally but painfully loud. LOL. It's definitely a real thing that happens, and sometimes it's not even for terrible reasons. People who are HOH tend to get louder because they don't recognize the decibel of everyone else. I'm going to go with you are the idiot too, purely because I doubt your narrative. If you were calm and reasonable, the other people around you would not be taking the side of the woman screaming swear words at the top of her lungs in a restaurant full of children. Nobody uses "that nice family" to describe a group who was screaming and yelling that language around kids. Well, maybe Australians. If they really were standing there and screaming that, I shudder to think what you must have done to sway public opinion in their favour. I, 32 male, am getting married to the love of my life, Julie, 30 female. The wedding is in a few weeks' time and we've been together for 10 years. I come from a large family with an older sister, Kate, who went pescatarian just before I met Julie. Her 2 kids and husband are also following the same diet. Julie is very allergic to fish or seafood, so if I eat something with fish sauce and kiss her on the cheek, she'll likely end up in hospital in critical condition. We found this out the hard way. So for our wedding, we only offered 2 meal options: meat, no fish or seafood, or vegetarian with accommodation for allergies. Kate's kids were allowed to bring fish sandwiches as long as they ate them, far away from Julie, and only because of the pressure from my family. Very recently, Julie and I found out we were expecting our first child together. She'll be 12 weeks pregnant at the wedding, and Julie wants to announce her pregnancy on our wedding day. She's not comfortable announcing it sooner due to personal and some work-related issues it can cause. Due to this, I had to call my sister yesterday and tell her that the plans have changed. Her kids, both tweens, were no longer allowed to bring any seafood or dishes containing fish. They would have to suck it up with a vegetarian or meat option or bring something else that won't trigger Julie's allergy. I haven't told Kate about Julie's pregnancy as she can't keep a secret at all. Kate is not happy and has called me an idiot and that they're just kids and they don't like veggies. I've told her that it's not my problem since being pescatarian doesn't mean eating only fish but other vegetarian-friendly foods too, but Kate isn't having it. Our mom prefers not to get involved, but she's hinted I should have given in. Not the idiot, I don't even understand why you originally went along with fish sandwiches. The kids could eat PBJ, cheese pizza, Impossible whatever, or other snacky junk. I suspect the fish sandwich move is a power play unless she has the kind of kids that literally only eat that one thing. The pressure from family to allow fish sandwiches when this is a serious medical issue is definitely giving golden child energy, and I'm inclined to agree about it being a power play. This is when you remind them who has the power regarding your wedding. If this is too difficult an accommodation for you to accept, then perhaps it would be best if you don't attend at all, because the happiness and safety of my wife-to-be take priority over the comfort of your children at our wedding. Good grief, her allergy is not enough reason to not have seafood at the wedding in your sister's eyes? What is wrong with people? I know plenty of children who eat vegetables, so she's ridiculous. There are also non-vegetable foods that are also, gasp, not fish or meat. They aren't children, they're dolphins or sea lions. If the kids can't manage one event without their special diet, a sitter may be a better option. Or your sister can choose to die on this hill and miss her brother's wedding. Honestly, even without the pregnancy, the original plan was problematic. What if the kids forgot to wash their hands or had fish on their faces when they say goodbye to her, etc.? It's your wedding. They can live without a fish for a few hours. My neighbours started out in February or March with a bouncy castle in their yard. I couldn't see it, but I could certainly hear it when the kids would start bouncing at 4:30 or 5 a.m. It seemed that the kids would wake up really early and the parents would send them outside to sleep. But it was incredibly loud. I had a polite conversation with the parents and they assured me the bouncy castle was temporary. So I put up with it for probably 3 weeks, nearly every day, until I explained that I worked nights and I was being woken up right as I was getting to sleep. To their credit, they stopped jumping early in the morning and everything was fine until 3 weeks ago when a huge bouncy castle suddenly appeared in their backyard. It was at least 25 feet tall. It completely blocked my view of the mountains. I could see the kids could look right into my bedroom window from the top. Unfortunately, this coincided with a shift change for me. Now the kids were up until 11 or 12, even 1 a.m. on some nights. Now I had to wake up at 4:30. I didn't even realize it was also a water slide until I realized that probably hundreds of gallons of water had run under our shared fence and actually pushed all my dog's poop up against the back door. I talked to them and the dad said, "We were polite enough to change our schedule for you the first time, and this is our backyard, screw you." I decided something had to be done because my house, let alone the sleep issue, could be damaged. So I called the HOA, and however the machine works, my neighbour had been called in front of a board meeting, fined about $1,000 for covenant violations, and ordered to pay for damages to our joint fence. I thought everything was good except for some dirty looks from the neighbour. Still, literally every one of my family and friends is saying I'm an idiot for going to the HOA. While opinions vary, the general gist is I'm now the crabby neighbour ruining kids' fun, that I should have got some noise-cancelling headphones and ignored it, and they would have popped the slide at some point anyways and it would have taken care of itself. I guess the idea is that I tattled and got my way by unleashing a bunch of busybodies without too much time and undeserved power. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I don't typically side with snitches, but this is pretty clear. The early hour noise and the property damage are big no-nos. Also, it damaged the fence and possibly the garden. It violated your privacy since kids were looking into your bedroom. The consistent noise daily for long periods at weird hours, all valid complaints. You spoke to them and they basically said it's your problem. So then they told HOA. You followed a very decent, orderly channel. You aren't snitching when it's a 25-foot bouncy castle. They ain't hiding it. It's the massive water runoff from an improperly managed water slide. For weeks? The drainage is an enormous issue and directly damages your property. Nope, their disrespect for your property and neighbourhood decorum makes them the idiots here. There is nothing reasonable about the kids' fun in this instance, and people have a right to the reasonable, quiet and safe enjoyment of their own property. Going to the HOA is the bare minimum here. This is actually proper use of the HOA. These neighbours were putting your quality of life and possibly the quality of your property into jeopardy. I'm honestly really worried for the kids. These are very irregular and ungodly early and late hours for them to be outside seemingly unattended with water. That high up? The parents honestly sound negligent and decided to make them the neighbourhood's problem rather than actually parent their kids. Makes me wonder if CPS should be the next on your list of calls.